Hello everybody and welcome to the 7th live video here on Oakland Tobacconist channel here at OGT Cigars in Oakland. We had actually quite a bit of weather today. In spite of the snow, in spite of the rain, in spite of the cold weather, we were still open, had some great cigars, a great time. And we are featuring, this week, we are featuring Dapper Cigar Company. If you have not tried this, I highly recommend you try it. It's an amazing line. They're the side of the boutique industry for cigars, and they do extremely well. Not only their construction, but also the flavor that you get from these cigars are pretty unparalleled. They pack quite a bit of punch and flavor as well as strength. So tonight, I have smoked this before, but it's been almost a year. We just got these in. I'm smoking the El Borracho Maduro. This is a Connecticut broadleaf. I actually have a soft spot for broadleaf cigars. Originally, we were going to get in a smaller size, but we decided to go with the Toro 6x54. And it has a rather stark box press to it. If you can kind of see that on the screen, it's literally a box. Some box presses are either soft box, where you have the kind of like smoother corners, but this is definitely a stark. So we're going to go ahead and light this up. Thank you again for watching and joining us on the show. We are going to have the blender of Dapper Cigars, Ian. He'll be joining us momentarily. But I would love to know what you're smoking, possibly what you're pairing with. So drop it in the comments. Let us know what you're lighting up and what you're enjoying. I'm enjoying the cigar with a bit of Old Forester bourbon. And we're going to go ahead and get this cut up and lit up. And if you have any questions for Ian or myself, go ahead and also drop those in the comments. I will try to pull them the best I can. The draw is perfect. I actually get quite a bit of pepper on the dry draw. But we're going to light this up. So let us know what you are enjoying. And we're going to have Ian join us in a very short time. If you have not noticed either, we are offering on our website a Dapper Cigar Sampler Pack. So what that sampler pack means is that we're featuring their lineup for a very great price. The link is inside this video. Go ahead and click on that link. That will direct you to our website. That is where you can pick up the sampler pack. I highly recommend it. We have a limited amount, and it's going to be great. So don't miss it. We have Claudia enjoying a Siempre, which is a part of Dapper Cigar. In fact, she's here at the shop with us. We're all smoking Dapper because they're all amazing. Jim, smoking anything but going to smoke a Foundation Goliath after the show. I'm envious. Foundation Goliath is a great cigar. So without further ado, we're just getting this lit up. We're going to have Ian join us. So everyone give a warm welcome to Ian for being on the show. Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you? Hopefully you can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you fine. How about on my side? Can you hear me all right?
Sounds great. Perfect.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us for this interview. This is actually the first time we've been able to talk face-to-face, so to speak. I've been aware of your brand for some time. We've been wanting to bring it in. We're kind of a smaller, younger mom-and-pop shop here in California. So we mostly bring in boutique lines. And so Dapper is a great fit, and we're happy with all of your blends. So thank you so much for not only being with us, but offering them on the market as well.
Oh, that's very nice. Very flattering. I swear awesome. I don't pay you.
We have a few of our regulars. We have Chip lighting up an Alma Fuerte with a Dr. Pepper cream soda. We've talked about cream soda quite a bit for people who don't want an alcoholic pairing. Apparently cream soda goes really well. With us on the show, I would like to ask, if you don't mind, what got you into this industry? Where did it kind of start? What was the evolution of you starting?
Yeah, I mean, I started just like I'm sure everybody watching. For me, since I'm not born, in Cuba, and my family's not, a tobacco farm or anything, I started as a consumer. So I was smoking a lot of cigars in my early and mid 20s as I was getting into working age, I suppose, and I enjoyed them a lot. I finally got to a point where, like every person that maybe takes things a little bit too far does, is you start thinking, wow, I wonder what it'd be like if I started making some cigars, and so I made a few trips to Nicaragua. I tried to remotely blend a little bit through various companies, and it just didn't work out for me really well. I just couldn't really get a consistent product, and I didn't feel like that was a genuine, effort to make a product. And so I went down to Nicaragua probably in early 2012, early 2010s. It's been a couple years, as everybody kind of does during the ramp up of trying to figure out how to do something, and met a lot of people along the way, and eventually we came out with the Cubo Claro, which is our Connecticut shade cigar that we make out of Carreras. And that was the very first cigar that we made, and we made about, I want to say about 5,000 of them initially, and then and that's kind of how it all started. But I started as a consumer. I started as somebody that loved smoking cigars, was really passionate about cigars, was kind of a little bit, geeky. I would go into a cigar shop every day. It's always about, what do I try next? I'm still that way. I go to cigar shops and people always think, because you make cigars, you smoke all your own cigars all the time. And I get a real kick out of smoking other people's cigars. I like trying everything that's out there. It gives me inspiration, that kind of thing.
So when you say you released with the Cubo Connecticut, was that the only cigar you released in the beginning for Dapper, or did you do the other Cubas as well?
Yeah, the Cuba Maduro, which is the San Andreas, the dark Oscuro wrap San Andreas wrapper cigar, we kind of did real shortly after that. But the very first cigar that I had was a Cuba Claro. That was the first cigar that I blended, and it was a light blue band. Kind of signifies like a baby boy. At that time, nobody was doing Connecticut's, and when I first started doing that project, nobody was doing Connecticut shade wrapper cigars. It was really not something that people, it kind of fell out of fashion.
Okay.
And then by the time I was done blending it and released it to the market, it was the year of the Connecticut shade. It was like they came out with Undercrown shade. Padron did their first Connecticut shade they've ever done in the history of the company. I was like, oh my God, how did everybody decide to do, Connecticut shade at the same time? But it's turns out a lot of people can think about the same thing at the same time, and
right. So now when that happened, it was released as a Dapper cigar, right?
Yeah, I've kind of always been attracted to like very simple names and brands, and I've always been kind of attracted to older, maybe more nostalgic legacy type brands, and so it was kind of cliched at the time, and I guess sometimes I sit in this love-hate relationship with our names, because some of them I love, and some of them I think they're too cliche or whatever. And we didn't have a name for the like cigar company. Like I just decided to make a cigar, and then I didn't really think about like, well, I got to sell that cigar, and how am I going to sell it? You're not going to like write me a personal check. That'd be weird. And so, you got to come up with a cigar brand name. And I had a neighbor across the street from me. His name is Chris. He was focusing on really old-fashioned haircuts and whatnot. And he looked at the band of that first Cubo Claro, and he goes, "Man, that's a real dapper-looking cigar there." And I was like, "Perfect, I'll take that." So that's how it came about.
Okay. And we actually have a question from Jim saying that he's confirming that you're in Fresno. And he's saying that he works around there a couple times, and it's somewhat of a cigar hotspot. Is that true?
Yeah, Fresno. Yeah. So California is generally, as probably California is a pretty dicey place when it comes to cigars and tobacco, just politics-wise, etc. But Fresno actually is a pretty solid hotspot for cigars.
Okay.
There are 3 really good brick and mortar retail shops in the area. Perfect Blends, Fine Cigars, Cigars Limited, in Fig Garden and Clovis, and then there's also Cigar Masfino on the northern side of town. All of those shops were kind of like the catalyst of my cigar kind of infatuation, because they're all great shops. It's unusual to find 3 really good brick and mortars in a very small area. And I visit all 3 of those shops to this day frequently, because it's just that cool of a kind of cigar scene. And I know, I've met friends over the years, and we've traveled together, and it just goes really far in terms of my history in cigars. And I'm Fresno gets a bad rap because anything bad in the news usually happens in Fresno. You know, it was like mass murder, smog, whatever. It always gets a bad rap, but you know, I am very proud of like our cigar culture here because we've got such a great cigar community in Fresno. Really amazing cigar community here.
Okay.
And so yeah, he's right. Jim's 100% right. Fresno's
Gotcha.
great. And Visalia is great. You know, there's a great store down at Visalia, which is about 45 minutes away. Sequoia Cigar. Bakersfield's got some great. Bakersfield's got 3 great brick and mortar retailers. Merced, Modesto. You know, the Central Valley of California is really a good spot for cigars.
We have a local Chip here saying that there's an old train car in Oak Glen becoming a hotspot as well, and he wants you to visit. So
all right.
Our shop here, our humidor is actually placed in the 1913 train car. It's a refrigerated car filled with Spanish cedar. And so kind of keeping in that same vein of 1913, kind of our style that we bring forth is more in that era as well. So honestly, when like Dapper Cigars, when it comes to labels or when it even comes to the name and stuff, it's already a great fit. Like I said, we specialize in boutique cigars. It's always that much better when you have blends of quality and taste that such as you that offer. And I got to imagine, I mean, becoming a cigar enthusiast and then starting your own company, like, because you blend all the blends, right?
Yeah. It's, you know, I mean, I downplay it just because I don't like to, not necessarily an ego-driven person, but, you know, in terms of my life, it's been probably the hardest thing I've ever done.
Okay.
Just because not only of the deep financial risk it takes to grow a business, it's even more so in the cigar manufacturing world. It's really, really, really difficult. It's why you don't see a lot of brands go from, you know, sort of nowhere to become big. There are oftentimes more boutique brands that don't work. And there's a reason. It is exceptionally difficult. And it really is. It's one of the most difficult things that I've done in my life, and most challenging things. It continues to be very challenging, but it is definitely a business of passion.
Okay.
There's no way on earth that you can be in the cigar business and be serious about it and make great cigars and not be completely passionate about it. It's you know that as a retailer. You can sense the brands that still have passion for what they do. I'm extraordinarily passionate about not only the products that we make, the people that we're aligned with in the cigar industry. You know, we work very closely with the Leave It Tobacco Company. That family has been around for just generations of tobacco prowess. I never thought in my life that I would be such good friends with the family and even be making this number of cigars now. I mean, it really amazes me every year that, you know, I look back and I go, holy crap, we did make a lot of cigars. We did do some good things, you know, even though we're the slodge of business and we're trying to grow and we're trying to, you know, everything is, you know, as a small business, it's difficult. It's difficult. It imposes its challenges, its stresses, etc. And so, yeah, I mean, I blend all of my own cigars, all of our cigars. But look, you know, what I tell people all the time is anybody can bake a good cake once, right? I can go in and I can go to the factory and I can say, all right, well, which tobaccos do we have? And I can put together a concoction of a half a stick of here, 2 sticks of this here, and a little bit of Visa Dominican here, and by being beautiful one-time cigar. You can do that all day long.
Okay.
The beauty and the art of cigar making is to make great cigars consistently. That is very, very difficult.
Okay.
And that is really the jobs of guys like Raul Diesla and the guys that will Leave It Tobacco. I can't stress it enough. It really is. I mean, we try to make cigars that are blended to my palate, generally speaking, and then we try to get it lined up in a situation with the factory production manager so that we can consistently make that product over and over again. It's not going to be 100% right on year to year because it's an agricultural crop. But at the end of the day, we try to make the experience good. We try to make it consistently good, and that's really the difficult part of cigar.
Okay. Yeah.
Really difficult. You know.
Well, and Jim also said that the Desvalido was in his top 5 for last year, possibly his top 3 favorite cigar that he tried 2020.
Oh, that's very nice. Jim, I love you. I don't know where you're from, but I love you.
So when you launched, when did Dapper Cigar Company, what year was that?
Our official launch date, I believe, was, I should know this because I keep getting asked it. I keep, whether it's tax people or forms or whatever, but I think our official launch date was like 2014, but I started in 2012-ish. But yeah, so I think our official thing was about 2014. So we've been on the market for quite some time, but I'll be honest with you, our first 2 or 3 years was basically yours truly going in my truck, going store to store trying to sell cigars.
Yeah.
That's a brutal existence. I don't know if you see a lot of people doing that anymore.
No.
But it's in California, I do not recommend it. I don't recommend it at all. It's a bad idea. And literally the last 3 years, we've kind of just we've ramped up a little bit. We've gotten brokers across the country. We sell cigars across the world now. We have constant new customers inquiring about us. I'm amazed. I'm amazed at just how far things have gotten in the last couple of years, 2 or 3 years.
Yeah. Well, and I will say, for even being a younger company, younger-ish, a lot of the struggle, it seems like, I'm speaking more on myself as far as like retailers trying to get your info out, trying to break down the blocks of consumer to retailer, consumer to creator. And so even on your website, your website and the information you can find is definitely top notch, and it outplays a lot of even larger companies, because you not only have what your blends are made of, but also where the story is, and then also the tasting notes, what you can expect from it. It's very thorough, it's very intuitive, and it's something I appreciate on a consumer level, because then I can know exactly what it is that I'm searching for.
Right. Well, I appreciate that. I mean, from the consumer perspective, I used to hate buying cigars and just not getting a whole lot of information on it, because I was a little bit more cigar geeky. And I'll be honest with you, I think we can do far better. We're going to try to do far better. The consumer side, when I remember just, what wrapper is this? Oh, Cuban seed. Okay, well, what kind of Cuban seed? Like, what binder? I mean, not that I want to, the cigar industry is an industry full, in general, in the past, is an industry full of kind of some facades and maybe exaggerations and a lot of marketing. And I think it's a shame, because the reality is I think consumers are becoming more and more educated over the years.
Right.
We care more and more about what is in our cigar, what's in our wine. I want to know what percentage of cab. I want to know what percentage of Petit Verdot. I don't know. Maybe it makes me feel good. I just like knowing, the composition. And so cigars, I thought, were something that people didn't give enough honesty to, and they didn't give enough transparency to. Look, and maybe that's because people think there's some kind of proprietary knowledge. There isn't. If you want to make a Baracha Maduro in a Connecticut broadleaf wrapper that you're smoking, all right, well, go get that relationship, get the broadleaf, good luck, and then get all of the tobacco from them. Go to Oliva, get that, put it all together, and you will have a cigar that's probably spot on to that cigar. That's hard to do. It's a really hard thing to do, and I don't feel threatened that there's some magical recipe that, it's like I've got this chocolate cake and I know exactly what kind of sugar and what kind of flour and what kind of egg to use. No, I mean, there's some things that we don't reveal. So if you go on our website, a lot of people ask us, well, how come you don't disclose some tobaccos? Well, look, I would disclose those tobaccos, but we can't. We can't, because those tobaccos are usually namesake tobaccos. They're tobaccos that a relationship has gotten us to, and they pin their name on that tobacco. And they've been nice enough to sell a little bit of that filler tobacco to us, because it makes our cigar industry interesting and great. But I can't disclose it because it takes away from their brand. It's not that I'm trying to be elusive about it. It's just that's the deal with that. I'm trying to make great cigars for people, and sometimes we have to use some filler tobacco that I don't have access to, that are from some of these connections that are really great tobaccos, and so that's why we don't disclose them. It's not that we're trying to be elusive or anything, but I appreciate what you said about transparency, because it does mean a lot to us, and we try to we're proud of the tobacco. It's like we're proud of the farmers. We like to brag about the people that we use and the products and ingredients that we use. It's what makes our cigars great, you know. And so that's the thought behind that, you know.
Yeah. Well, and I think more education to the consumer. I mean, it's definitely a high mark here at the shop. It just means more that them wrapping their head around it. I know that's where I started. Is I like broadleaf flavored cigar, or like the tobacco of broadleaf. I like Sumatra. I like these different things, so then I can go try other things as well. It's an easier.
Yeah, it's really a good one, you know. And you're a great tobacconist. If you know how many stores do you go into, and usually you have to reverse engineer what a consumer likes. And boy, wouldn't it be nice if instead of you going, hey, what cigars do you like, and then you trying to piece together the tobaccos in your mind so that you can offer similar takes. If the consumer goes, hey, Eric, man, I love broadleaf cigars, man. What do you got that's in that broadleaf range that you like? And then you're like, oh, man, you got to try this, this, this.
Yeah.
That's the new consumer, I think.
Right.
I believe that the new consumer, I'm as with you, I'm sure I'm in the generation of cigar smokers that cares a little bit more about the details. And, you know, my father, God bless him, he don't care about the details. He'll buy if he bought a cigar and he likes that cigar, he's going to buy that cigar for the rest of his life. And he doesn't care what tobacco is in it. He doesn't care whether it's from Ecuador, whether it's from Nicaragua, whether it's from Honduras. As long as it smokes good, it's the right price, done deal, and I get a good deal. That's my dad.
Yeah.
My generation, I'm sure you fit into this, is like we care a little bit more about maybe the specifics of it. We want to know what we're smoking. We want to know the company, but you know, am I buying a product from a company that I like, that I want to support? Am I spending my money in a way? Am I pushing that to a company that I like what they're about? Are they making great product? Well, why are they making great product? Well, it's because they use this and this and this. I mean, that's my feeling about it, and that's you know, I think that's a different generation of smoker. You see a lot of that today. You know. Yeah.
No. Definitely. So. What was the journey from consumer to blender? Because that's a pretty big gap. Was it over a long amount of time? Especially, and let me rephrase it almost. It's a pretty big gap given the fact of what your cigars offer. It's something special. It's something unique. I mean, when I think of Dapper cigars, I think rich flavor. Like that's the immediate thing that I come to think about. And that's not a blending system of, well, it's just kind of getting by and it's a medium. It's an okay cigar. It's something special. Right. Where does that start from consumer to blender?
I'm still learning. Look, I mean, I work with a guy, Raul Visa, down in at Noxa in Nicaragua. And Raul's, you know, in the cliche term, he's forgotten more than I've learned. The curve to blending is it's weird because, you know, you go down to Nicaragua and you can taste a lot of. I'll just use Nicaragua as an example. I'm sure people in Dominican, Honduras, they have their own examples, whatever. But we use leaf from all over the world, whether it's from the U.S., whether it's from Ecuador, whether it's from Nicaragua, Honduras, Dominican, and you know, when you're smoking various tobaccos from all over the world, they're very different. They're just like, you know, grapes and wine and shit, you know. They're very, very, very different.
Right.
And so the art of it is how do these tobaccos play nice with each other, right? And I would be lying if I told you that I like magically figured it all out. The truth of it is that you get the playbook from old guys that have been in the business for a long time.
Okay.
And one of those old guys is Gus Cura, who's the head of Oliva Tobacco down in Nicaragua, and he's on the growing and fermentation side of it. They provide tobacco and premium long floor tobacco. Every blender over the years, Pin, Fuente, you name it. And he just so happened to be very good friends with Frank Inessa. And Frank Inessa built a ginormous empire on very medium-bodied cigars. And turns out Frank had a lot of combinations that he thought were great combinations that he figured out over the years. As an example, Sumatra broadleaf combination. That is a classic Frank Inessa trick. You combine Sumatra from Ecuador with Connecticut broadleaf. It's magical, magical. And so you sit down there with these guys long enough, you pick up some tricks, they lead you down a path, you go down the path, you go, you know what, we gotta do a little Sumatra broadleaf combo.
Yeah.
And you play with it. And then somebody like Raul goes, you know what this blend needs? What does it need? It needs a little Ometepe. Raul, I hate Ometepe. I'm not putting any Ometepe in there. No Ometepes. Always trying to sneak Ometepe in the blends. Put a little Ometepe in the blend. You're like, holy shit, man, you got it. You that's it. And you're not coming up with things in a vacuum. You're standing on the shoulders of giants, as they say in science, right? You're literally going, okay, you're getting input, you're blending, you're figuring out your own things. Cubo Sumatra. That was my first blend at another factory using Oliva tobacco at another factory, reblending it at Naxa, and then adding Sumatra and broadleaf in the filler.
Okay.
You know, it's just an iteration, right? But I took the Cubo Claro blend that we used at Carreras 8 years ago that I started with. Took the same base, played around with the wrapper, add some broadleaf filler, and that turned out to be that cigar. And you know, you never start from just scratch, right? You're always kind of building on what you want, what you've already done, and what you already know. And so that's really the fun part of blending. You know, but it's not like I sit down and I have like 40 tobaccos and I go, this one, and this one, they all will magically work. And then, you know, people roll them and they, oh, you're a genius. You know, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way.
But on this side, it looks that way. It seems that way because you open that box of cigars and you see that layout of 16 or 20, and you're like, where did this come from? You light it up, and it's a whole new experience. A lot of our customers are dropping a lot of love for the El Borracho Maduro. Chip is a big fan of broadleaf; it's on point. And so, out of the Cubo line, what was your first release after those three?
Borracho in the San Andreas, the red band, and La Madrina came out at the same time, and those two were very, very, very different cigars. Even though the La Madrina uses the same San Andreas as the wrapper, so we use the wrappers with faults, and that becomes the binder of the Madrina, and then the beautiful wrappers we use on the Borracho Red. After we did those two cigars, what ended up happening? It's actually a really great story. I originally, a long time ago, set out to make a Connecticut broadleaf cigar. Okay. Not Pennsylvania, Connecticut broadleaf cigar. Because I really loved Connecticut broadleaf. The flavor that Connecticut broadleaf has, if you're a broadleaf guy, which you are, there's nothing in the world that can replace that flavor. Right. Combustion,
of course, it has to be the rarest tobacco, or at least one of the rare ones, and hard to get a hold of.
It's very hard to get a hold of now, and it was very hard to get a hold of, 6-8 years ago, and I couldn't get a hold of it. Matter of fact, I went on a goose chase to try to get Connecticut broadleaf, and that's what ran me into my my good friend Gustavo Kuro. He was the guy that I was led to buy Connecticut broadleaf, and in a very nice way, he kind of politely entertained me and told me that I couldn't buy any of it. And years later, when he got involved in retrofitting the Naxa factory, we were, we've been friends. He'd been mentoring me and still mentors to me to this day. And, he'd taken over basically the redoing of Knox as a factory. It's a bit of a long history, but kind of looks over at me. He goes, yeah. And he goes, maybe one of these days you want to make some cigars at Knox. I think you might want to do that. I go, Gus, man, of course I'm going to make cigars at Knox. Well, who are you talking to here, man? Of course I'm going to make cigars over there. And then after we got done, he's like, okay, he goes. And I look at Gus and I'm like, how about that broadleaf though? And he looks at me and smiles and he goes, you can have all the broadleaf you want. So that was it's a really cute story. I tell it all the time, but that is literally the deal. The Connecticut broadleaf is a great product. It's very rare, not because of necessarily the supply of it, but because the demand, like from the machine made side.
Okay.
Backwoods traditionally was Connecticut broadleaf.
Right.
And the demand of backwoods product, with all the marijuana stuff, has shot out of the roof. And so now they're growing Connecticut broadleaf down in Nicaragua and Honduras now. It's gotten such a large demand. Time will tell as to whether or not that broadleaf will be equivalent in flavor and smoke production like what we know that comes out of the valley. Right. I rambled so much I forgot the question. I'm sorry.
Well, no. I mean, that's more to that point. Now, very quickly, just for those watching, we do offer the Dapper cigar sampler on our website. If you click on the link in this bio, it will send you to the website. You can taste all the cigars we're talking about. They're phenomenal. And we got a gentleman, Brock, saying how much he loves the Madrina, and also the label as well. Where did the label idea for that cigar come from?
Yeah, so our designer that we use, his name is Dan Greta. Dan's been with me since the very beginning, and he designs everything for us.
Okay.
Down to the warranty seals, everything that we as a company have made is designed by Dan. There was a little brief moment in time where he took a job as a consulting thing and he was like, man, dude, I can't design any more of your stuff. And I was like, I went out in the market, hired these designers, and it all came back terrible. And I spent thousands of dollars. Thousands. And I went to Dan. I was like, Dan, who do we hire? I'm like, look at what he felt so bad about it. He's like, all right, fine, I'll do it. And so he's been with us ever since. And Dan he's a beast, but that La Madrina product didn't start out as that. It started off with, I really wanted, we were doing, in California, we're very heavily influenced by Mexican culture. Okay, there's more, say, Mexican culture in terms of Spanish culture than there is, say, like in Florida with Cuban culture. It's kind of our, kind of thing because of just the sheer number of Mexican people here in California. And I've always loved anything that's themed off of the Day of the Dead and the Santa Muerte type iconic religious themed things. I just always loved that, whether it's movies, and I at the same time that we were kind of doing this, Las Calaveras came out, and I just thought, man, such a great brand design, etc. And we originally started the brand off as Santa Muerte before Black Label was doing it.
Okay.
We were originally doing that. Yeah, but you know what? I just felt, nothing against Santa Muerte or anything like that. I just felt like we just needed something that was a little bit more unique in the sense that it was something not as generic as Santa Muerte's religious holiday, and we could hone in on a theme, and then we could kind of embrace the heavy religious aspect to the Day of the Dead. and the kind of the honoring of the dead. I really wanted to more focus on the beauty of life and death and the honoring of the dead. And Dan and I worked for a very long time on it, and we eventually came out with what it is today.
Yeah.
And it is our most popular cigar that people don't know we make, but is by far our most popular cigar. Internationally, it's it has an appeal for a lot of folks, and we sell that cigar. I don't know what the numbers are, but we probably do sell it the most. It's by far our most popular cigar.
Okay.
And most people don't know who makes it. Most people don't. I mean, it's probably a fault of ours on the branding side, but most people don't know that. We make that cigar, and that cigar is a very complex cigar. That cigar is by far our most complex blend. I mean, we have a Ecuadorian wrapper that's a Cuban seed Ecuador wrapper from Oliva. We have the same wrapper as in our Borracho Red Band is on that as a binder. And then we have a mixture between Dominican, U.S., and Nicaraguan fillers. So we have 5 countries of tobacco in that cigar. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I mean, and you're probably familiar with Nick Melillo at Foundation Cigar.
I love Nick. He's a good guy.
He is kind of, I mean, it's not that he coined the phrase, but he says it a lot, and it's very true. When you have even the same tobaccos, but it's kind of like having a cook in a kitchen. Even the same different ingredients, it's going to come out differently. And
sure.
And how you're kind of saying like what you disclose, what you're allowed to, and such like that, and you don't feel threatened. There is no reason to feel threatened because the combinations you're using those in, even if it's the same wrapper leaf on that red band Borracho, it's completely different. It's completely complex.
Yeah, and Nick is a great. Nick's a great guy. I'm good friends with Nick. He's he's like my age. But I always tell him, hey, man, I always look up to you because technically you're older in the cigar industry than I am. He's been down there doing the hard work for a very long number of years. His brand is just on point. I love everything. He does as a brand. His graphic designer, Alex, is fucking just out of control great. And he's a true cigar purist. He really is. He's very passionate about his products. It shows. Mm-hmm. His impact, I think, to the cigar industry was subdued from Drew Estate. I don't think they gave him enough credit for what he did personally. I know people will disagree with me, or maybe that'll get me in hot water, but I think that's true.
Yeah.
I look at guys like him as inspiration in terms of it. And he's right. Look, if you take those same, you could take the same ingredients and the same tobacco ingredients from a high level and make them in one factory and make them in another factory. They're going to taste different. Right.
So something we're going to be doing, because like I said, we just brought in your brand this week. And so far, even today, it's been a big hit. Friday, we're doing a formal tasting of the Desvalido. And our formal tastings is that it's a pre-reservation event. We all light the cigar together, we smoke it together, and we'll pair it with something. We'll pair it with a bourbon or a scotch or a cognac. And as I understand it, that is your latest release. What was the evolution of that cigar coming?
So that cigar took me a very, very long time to blend. Nick could testify to it. When I first made cigars at Naxa, we had shipped all of our printables down to Naxa. And this was years ago now. And we had this band, and we had the brand, and I didn't have a blend for it.
Okay.
And the problem with it was that I just could not become happy with what that blend is. And it just irked me. And I kept tweaking and almost it's unhealthy, the level of that. It really is. It's unhealthy. But he looked at it and he was like, dude, he was like, "This is a great." I was like, "Yeah, I just can't get the cigar for it," and it just took a very, very long amount of time for me to be happy with a blend. And what happens too is like as I make cigars, my taste changes over the years. And back when I first started to now, like my taste for cigars is 100% different. And what I like and what I feel today is different. Like I like broadleaf, but I like it as a compliment now. And I'm enjoying a lot more full-bodied cigars that I maybe didn't enjoy 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And so as my taste changes, I keep trying to hit a benchmark, and then maybe I try something from somebody else. I go, it's got to be. I got to make something equivalent to this or better. Like I can't just, not. Like I have to be honest with myself because I want to give them that cigar. One of the things I love to do is to give somebody the cigar, and for them to, not to say anything, I don't know, and for them to smoke it, and for them to just look at you, and go, wow, that's all I need. That's it, done deal. And I do it over and over. I'll be honest for me right now, that Desvalito and that Lonsdale size, I am constantly enamored with it today. It still enamors me.
Okay.
And I feel like I have a very unique blend in that resonates with me. It's and the other thing that that people that smoke our cigars will notice. We don't make a lot of sharp cigars. I'm not a sharp cigar kind of guy. I don't try to. I am a big nose cigar smoker. Like I'm a full experience cigar smoker. I don't like it when things are too sharp on the palate one way. Like I have to have the palate, the nose, the retro, the whole thing working for me. Right. And so that cigar, it works for me in the mouth, and it works for me at the brink of strength in the nose.
Yeah.
And that's what that cigar. It just took a long time, and it's the only cigar and honestly, it's the only cigar we sold out of without and I mean that in a small way. I'm not like saying Air Jordans or anything, but it's like we made that cigar, and we don't even do press releases, and half was just pounded. I mean, they're vigilant, but it's hard to tell somebody like, hey man, we're a small operation. We don't really have a press release department. Like that's me writing an email to tell you about the cigar, and that that happened, and then all of a sudden, unbeknownst to me, it was like we built up enough maybe momentum as a company over the years that the amount of orders that we had were more than what we had coming in. We had 30-ish thousand cigars. And it was kind of sad, but for the first time ever in the company, we had to basically not ship things to people. Yeah. And I hate that as I don't think it's good business. And we're trying to get ahead of that. But cigars, the other thing about it, and I always tease with Alex, our head of sales, about this. Cigar industry is weird. People want what they can't have, and that mystique does something to people, and I hate that. I hate it. Like if a retailer calls us for a product, I want to ship that product. Right. Because I want them to get the product, and I want us to make the money, and everybody wins. Yeah. But I like this back order thing. It bothers me, but so it's the first cigar that we've had that issue with. Yeah.
And quick shout out to Alex, because Alex first approached me when he carries some other brands that we have, and he had mentioned Dapper, and he kind of like, I don't know if you're familiar with Tim Wong. I
know Tim. I saw him last night.
Yeah, Tim's great, and Alex had a similar approach in the way of kind of like, look, I'm not going to sell you on the product. I'm going to have you try the product, and when you're ready, bring it in. Because the cigars stand on their own, and he did an amazing job, and lo and behold, we brought him in, and I see that we have Curtis Bailey. Curtis is a local here as well as a graphic design artist, and coming from a graphic design artist, side, he messaged me when I had posted, "Hey, I'm smoking the Desvalito for the first time," and he was like, "That band is great." So you're on point also.
I appreciate that. I'll tell you what, from a graphic design standpoint, we use a company called Vrydog in Holland that prints all the printers. They're the only people. They're one of the few people in the world that can print that level of detail, and only a graphic designer would really know it per se. It's very difficult. That when we make bands at Vrydog, they make a plate. They make an embossing plate and a cutting plate. The embossing plate is what embosses or punches out the lines and whatnot. And the cutting plate cuts out the outline of the band. The embossing plates are done by hand, and it's this old guy with a mirror that basically does them in reverse. And they're very expensive because they have to make a plate large enough to do 50 cigar bands at a time. So a large plate. And we get an email from our no, we didn't get an email. We saw him at the trade show, and Vrydog came by and said, just so you know, that plate was so difficult to make because of the thin lines that we actually had to scrap the plate twice.
Oh, wow.
And remake it, which is infuriating. And they only charged me once. So God bless them. I hope they don't. I hope they don't come back and hit me for 2 more plates because I don't know. The kids won't eat or something like that. But but I appreciate the notice on our graphic design. Another flattery part with Desvalito was Steve Saka said that it was like when he said that he loved the brand, I was like, holy crap! Steve Saka said he loved the brand. And I know Steve, he's a good guy, but
I've never heard Steve say anything like that on stuff I've heard.
I screenshotted it. And I sent it to Alec. I sent it to a few people. I was like, hey, look at this. He never says anything nice. I mean, Steve's a very nice man. But
I know what you mean. Well,
he sparks with the compliments.
Yeah. Well, and I think, too, you run the risk with something of that detail of looking overly busy if not done correctly. And it's on point. So I'll have to send you a message. I'll let you know how Friday goes, but we're really excited about it because it's definitely a special offering. And I've only smoked one of them, but it's definitely one of the cigars that are far more complex than your average cigar. And the flavors you get, you're right, are not too sharp. They're very mellow, and the transitions are just great.
Well, I appreciate that. You know what? Who was the guy that liked it? Here's what I'm going to do. I was just digging through my office right now. Literally, I was going through paperwork, and I found these. These are original prints from our first run of these several years ago at Vrydog, and I would like to send one to your fan of our graphic design. I'll send it
yes,
and it's one of the first 20 of these that we made several years ago. I'll
tell you what, because he's here at the office regularly. In fact, we hired him to do our bands for our house blends. He's
good for you.
So if you want to send him here to the shop, I'll make sure he gets them.
Absolutely. I'll send him one of these. And I literally just found these when I was digging through paperwork like 5 minutes ago. And I was like, oh my God, these are the first, these are the Vistas that we made for the back of the box. And they were made and sent several years ago. And so that would be cool. Yeah.
Well, I also have a question from a gentleman who's also a customer here, a regular here at the shop, who's a fan of big ring gauge cigars. What are your thoughts on big ring gauge, and is that something that might happen in Dapper's future? So,
good question. And by big ring gauge, I'm assuming you mean 56 and above.
Yeah.
So there's 2 things happening on the big ring gauge. One is that the reason we haven't made big ring gauges is because of the FDA.
Okay.
There's two factors. The first is the FDA. In all the shamockery that's gone on with the FDA, it has turned out that attorneys have now advised, or in the last couple of years advised, that in order to stay in the legal right and get our cigars to be FDA compliant, we have to prove that our cigars are no more substantially harmful to people than cigars that are currently on the market or cigars that we predicated against.
Okay.
And what the scientific formula that they have given is that the amount of tobacco is what will determine that substantial harm.
Okay.
I know. Millions of dollars, and it comes down to this. So, so that means that our the cigars that we are pinning against the predicate brands or the brands that existed before 2008. Well, what happened is there's not a lot of brands that had a 6x60 before 2008. And unfortunately, the brands that we predicated against didn't have a 6x60.
Okay.
So we couldn't make a 6x60 cigar for the last 4 or 5 years because the attorneys were basically advising us that you're going outside of the FDA guidance. So that's one reason. The second reason is because we kind of are in one realm. We sell cigars at kind of that premium price point, you know. So God bless everybody that goes out there and buys those cigars. I know you may say, oh my God, in California, 12, 13, 14, 15, whatever, however much they are, a lot of money. I agree. Part of it, California tobacco taxes, etc. But also we make premium cigars in that premium range. What ends up happening is that when you sell cigars that are in that 6x60 range as a premium cigar, generally speaking, when you get into that $13, $14, $15, $16 price range in California, less elsewhere, the market falls off, meaning you don't sell a lot of high premium range cigars in the bigger ring gauges.
Yeah. Okay.
It falls off. You know, 56 is kind of the biggest. You can maybe get 60 on a funny Faguardo, or you could do a Cottontail or a Flying Pig or whatever. But to make a 6x60 and have it be your most expensive cigar, it's tough. You don't sell a lot. And so that's why we haven't done it. Not to say that we won't do it in the future, because we do have a short fill coming out that's going to be in that and whatnot, but that's a different price range. But 6x60 tough. 6x56 is about as large as we're going to get. And I hate to say that we're abandoning a customer, but we're just in a tough spot. You know, we can't make enough of that product at that range if we could legally and have it all good with the FDA.
Right.
And even if it was good with the FDA, we still can't sell enough in that big gauge at the price that it's got to sell because of the raw tobacco weight.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense. Yeah. And with that, like, speaking of like newer things down the line and such, does Dapper Cigar, I mean, I know you probably can't disclose too much, but do you have some things coming down the pipeline?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, the change in the FDA stuff that's lightened up recently has caused us to basically take all the products that we've been wanting to make and shooting them out. We have a lot. Too much, according to Alex. You know, he's like, dude, you gotta calm down. You know, like, hey, chill out. And he's right, because you know we can't go nuts and do everything and anything. We're obviously constrained by our budgets and cash flow, etc. But yeah, we have a lot of things. I'm smoking as an example, I'm smoking a box pressed torpedo. We don't have any torpedoes. We don't have any bellicosas in any of our cigars. You know, those are things that we're doing. We're doing different Faguardos. We have new brands that have been sitting there waiting for the go ahead. You know, we have a lot of new things coming out.
Okay.
We're making house blends for certain cigar shops.
Nice.
Yeah, so we're jamming, man. We got a lot of cool stuff in the next
Cool.
year. Yeah, a lot of cool stuff.
Now, I hate to pose this question because I know what it means. It's not a question a lot of company owners or blenders like. However, I do ask most manufacturers, if you had to pick one of your most favorite or pet blends of what you offer, do you have a favorite or do you have a few?
It changes all the time. Yeah, I mean, right now I'm smoking a lot of Desvalito and the Lonsdale. I love that blend. And honestly, that that blend is not my idea. That not blend, but that Vitola was not my idea. I didn't want to make that Vitola. And Alex basically strong-armed me into making it, and I love it. It's like I think it came out the best.
Okay.
I love. I smoke a lot of Siempre Sun-Grown. I love that combination. I smoke a lot of Borracho in the blue. I love it in the Edmundo format. There's a lot of cigars and it changes all the time. You know, I smoke a lot of Cubo Claro. Every morning I smoke Cubo Claro. And I'll be honest with you, I smoke the stuff that people don't buy, you know? And we have a lot of small ring gauges that we discontinued the format on because we couldn't sell it in enough to really keep it going. But, you know, the Cubo Claro and the Cubo Maduro in a 44 ring gauge, oh my God. I had the factory ship down all of them in bundles that were remaining just for me. I mean, I've been smoking the hell out of them. I love them. They can't sell that ring gauge, the small ring gauge.
Yeah.
It's a weird one. It's like a 6.5 by 44. Like, it's just a weird one. Like, you don't sell that very often. I smoke the hell out of it. We have a project for a small batch cigar that we did that was it was a variant of Siempre. And it's a Siempre.
Rosado, right?
Yeah, it's a Rosado. And let me give you a story behind that. Because you look at the wrap and you go, oh my God, that is not a Rosado. That is not a Rosado. Should be pink.
Right.
That was a pink shade wrapper when we started. And by the time we could get that thing to where it was smokable, it had to sit so long that it was almost darn near a Skuro. Okay, so we call it the dark Rosado. Pull a Fuente on everybody, right?
Yeah.
It is an 8th priming Cuban seed from Ecuador that is out of this world. I don't care what Half Wheel says. Half Wheel says, oh, it's tar or whatever. Look, I'm not them. They're very, you know, cultured palates. But that cigar, we've not released it yet in the 50 and 52 ring gauges. Magical. I can't wait for people to try it. And I don't care what Half Wheel says. I can't wait for people to try it because now the one that we made for small batch, we made it to their specifications, and they like strong stuff. Ridiculous strong stuff. Okay. It's a little hot for me. I love it, but it's a little hot for me. You know, I need to have a little bit of sugar intake. I need to go into it with a full stomach. But in the 50, 52 ring gauges, oh my God, I think that cigar, that blend shines unbelievably.
Well, and as you mentioned, Half Wheel, it's kind of interesting because as a consumer for the first time trying something, whether you've heard good reviews, bad reviews, or whatever, it puts you in the seat of the critic. Whether it's like, okay, I've heard nothing but praise, let me try this out for myself. Or, hey, if I read one review on this, it really comes down to the consumer and their experience. And really that first time trying it. And I mean, even with Dapper Cigar, hearing about it, and it really takes that experience of smoking it to be like, okay, here's what I think about it. And I mean, every palate is different. So, and with your palate, do you land on the medium side, full side, lighter side? What is like kind of your range?
Yeah, my range when I started blending was more on the medium light palette. My range today is more in the medium full. You know, but with that said, I don't want people to believe that when I say medium full, etc., that I want, you know, things that are very peppery, the things that are very that taste like they would be full in the palate. Yeah. I love cigars that have a full experience. I really love cigars that have high nicotine content, but they sneak up on you. Like you smoke it and you go, this doesn't seem all that bad. You retro it and you go, whoa, wait a second here. We could be going into treacherous territory. And then you start going down it and you go, oh my God, this is as full as it gets. Nicotine. Yeah. I love that. I love that kind of creeping, you know, buildup, which I think is what the Siempre Rosado does. And Desvalido, I think, provides a little bit of medium plus range. You retro it, you experience it. I feel like it hits on a lot of points. It gives you enough spice to satisfy the spice. It gives you enough smoothness to satisfy the smoothness. It gives you enough flavor profile in terms of smoke production. Sometimes I hate it when you get a cigar that's too wispy. You smoke it, and even on our own cigars, I'm not going to say it because I don't want to talk bad about some of our own cigars, but some of them I smoke and I go, this needs more. It needs more smoke production. It's a balance, right? It's a balance to get that perfect experience of what you want in a cigar, and so I'm always battling with what that is. Connecticut shade cigars, they're gonna always have that pepper component. It's gonna have that little bite because of that unfermented leaf. It's just a fact you got to deal with. So how do you balance it to make it interesting? And I mean, I mean, I love a lot of our cigars, and sometimes I look at our cigars and I go, we got to redo that, or we got to change that, or we got to tweak that, and that's just the part of progressing in the cigar industry.
Well, and I mean, really, I think it's true of any like artist or something that creator that creates something is you're always trying to improve on something and trying to move forward. So a few questions I also asked manufacturers, just out of curiosity and more of a kind of practical sense. How many cigars would you say you smoke about a day?
Depends on the day. Depends on the day. Normally, on average, lately, I have been smoking about 3 to 4 a day. I have smoked far more, but I don't believe it's good for me in terms of both health. Obviously, health-wise, it's probably not the smartest thing. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that smoking cigars is a healthy activity, especially when you're smoking 8 of them. Like that doesn't seem like that. I'm sure is outside of the bounds, right?
That sounds like a couple of gauges,
I mean, a lot of these, Tim. I'm calling out Tim here because Tim smokes a sick amount of cigars, and I mean, he can do that. He's a Hall of Famer and stuff, and cigar smoking. But I personally find for me that if I smoke more than 3 cigars a day or 4 cigars a day, it really changes my palate drastically. And I start losing the ability to enjoy and nuance cigars. And I don't want to ever get there. I like taking a month or 2 off every year and not smoking any cigars because I feel like it resets my enjoyment for cigars. It gets me to go back and try stuff that maybe I thought was too weak, or maybe I thought was too, maybe didn't have enough nicotine, or maybe I didn't like, maybe I didn't pick up on the nuances, I try every year to get about a month at least in. And I usually do it around Christmas time to where I basically start from scratch. I don't smoke anything for a month, and I try to reset my palate and try to re-enjoy cigars and rediscover the little nuances about cigars that I may have forgotten.
And another question is that I've posed this several times. You kind of alluded to it. If you had to name several other brands that you enjoy or that you think is really good, what are some of the other cigars you like to smoke?
Oh, the list is endless. Look, Nick Melillo is a rock star. His Tabernacle, I love that product. And he's a rock star, Pepin's Fonseca. Look, I mean, he got a lot of flack, but one of the cigar stores in town is razzing me because I've been buying so many of their Fonsecas. And they're razzing me like, dude, why are you smoking? Because literally, these are very good right now. For me. I'm not saying for everyone.
Right.
Pepin, I think, is a beast. And I'm also very biased because I look at cigars from both as a consumer side as well as a blending side, and as well as, I have my own fan. I respect the shit out of what Pepin does and what he's built at my father. I respect the hell out of AJ Fernandez. I mean, look, AJ Fernandez may be like Coca-Cola now because he's so well known, but that guy is a tobacco guy. Pepin is a tobacco. I mean, these are tobacco guys, man. These are premium cigar tobacco guys. These guys make a tremendous amount of premium handmade cigars. AJ, unbelievable. Some of the stuff he makes, unbelievable. And the stuff that Nick makes out of AJ, phenomenal. Cabernet, phenomenal.
Yeah.
Pepin. What else do I like? You know what, man? I tried a cigar the other day that Tim gave me. He gave me a Hyena from Black Label.
We're getting the Hyena in this week, so I haven't tried it yet, but I'm very excited to try it.
You know what, man? And I'll be honest with you. That guy James Brown's a very nice guy. I like him. He's a very nice guy. Most of his cigars that he makes are a little too heavy for me. They're a little too heavy in the palate. They're a little too heavy in the Nicaraguan or in the tobacco, and they're just a little too full body for me.
Okay.
I smoked that cigar. I was floored by how good it was.
Okay.
That is a phenomenal cigar. For me, yeah. I think that cigar, well done to him. Amazing cigar. What else have I smoke a lot of people's cigars, and you know what, Caldwell, I got to tell you, yeah. I did not like Caldwell cigars several years ago. I didn't like them. Yeah. The stuff that they make today, I really like. I think that the guy Henderson down there, or whoever the kid is, the factory manager, yeah, he's doing a hell of a job. He's doing a hell of a job, man. He's making great cigars out of that factory. Yeah. Hats off to him. Okay. Who else? I'm probably missing a lot of stuff that is out there, but those are the ones that come to my mind immediately.
And what it's worth, coming from a smaller retailer and a lover of Connecticut broadleaf. I mean, you name Nick Bolillo, you name Caldwell with his Midnight Express, even Liga Privada 9. The Borracho broadleaf is up there. It's in that same amount of quality, and it's definitely one that's got to be in my rotation as a broadleaf smoker. So, and the last question I would have is TPE. We're planning on attending. Do you think TPE is a reality this year? And if so, do you think you guys will attend?
Well, we will attend if it's a reality because we already paid for it. Okay. So they already got our money. So I mean, if it happens, it's going to happen. And if it doesn't happen, then give my money back. No, I mean, I hope it's a reality. I've been to Vegas a couple times. I don't want to get into whether people about the virus, because I'm not going to downplay the virus. I'm not going to downplay it. Anybody's concerned with it. Legitimate. I respect the shit out of that. Right. But on the flip side of it, I've been to Vegas during all of this a couple times, and it's been very nice. And I think they can run a good convention, and I think it can be very safe. And I like the people at TPE. Yeah. I like what they're doing. I like the fact that they're very business friendly. They understand small guys like us. They want our business, and they treat us very well. Even though we don't spend the big amounts of money that maybe a Drew or Davidoff or whatever spends. So we will be there if it happens. Okay. PCA is a different animal. We have not booked anything at PCA. It's been a little bit of a quandary. I don't want to talk bad about them, but at the end of the day, as a small business, and what I've realized, and we've spent significant money on these trade shows, whether it's Intertobac in Germany or whether it's TPE or whether it's PCA. At the end of the day, we have to make decent business decisions. TPE has always been a good business decision for us. The amount of money we spend versus the amount of money we make and the amount of exposure has been positive. PCA has not always done that for us. It's not always been a good opportunity for us. I would love it to be that way. I like everything, what they say it's about. I am a member, has it, but, as you know, and if you've been to PCA, it's quite expensive from a production standpoint. Yeah. And it's been very up and down over the years. I hope they can rejuvenate the retailers into coming. I do think that there's going to be an issue. You have the TPE, which normally happens in January, and has now been postponed until May. Then you have the PCA 2 months later. And then you also have the fact that the big four are out of the PCA.
Right, right.
This is tough because you have the TPE and you're going to invest in that. And then you know that the big four are going to be kicking out deals and they are going to be swarming the retailers to buy before the PCA happens. So do you spend the amount of money to go to the PCA to do that? And will there be enough retailer turnout? And will the retailers that show up have enough money after all the deals are spent and all the things are done and after they visited Fuente and after they visited Patel and all these big brands, will they be open to bringing a company our size into their shelves?
Right.
It's a hard one.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We may not be at PCA this year, but we will be at TPE.
Well, and even kind of on the coattails of that as well is being as small and mom and pop as you get here at our shop, we don't even carry the big four. And so for us, it's kind of like, it is a huge investment, and on our scale, we can't really merit both. But the thing I think that TPE has going for it, at least for when we attended, it's very personable. Everyone's got a similar size booth. You talk to who you want to talk to. There's not this line. There's not a huge amount of production. But it's also what I look for as a retail owner. It's the handshake. It's the conversation to make that happen. So, yeah.
Well, look, hey, Eric, I'm telling you right now, like, you're 100% right on. And as smaller brands and you know, I don't want to badmouth the big four. You know, the big four are the big four, and that is the deal. And they've built tremendous businesses over the years. So I'm not going to badmouth that. But what I will say is this. Good for you for doing what you're doing, because a lot of retailers around the country are seeing this. You have two things at play, and this is me on my soapbox. So, you know, take it for a grain of half a salt. Tobacconist brick and mortar retailers are traditionally small business owners. They are families that have had the shops. They are small business owners in America. And I think it is in their best interest to support brands that support them. Yes. Yes. If you go and you line your shelves with General product, Altitude product, Rocky product, Davidoff product, etc., great, okay. But one, you know that you will never have the ability to price compete with the big guys. That they will discount those cigars, and every person that walks into your retail store, you know that guy is going to later on go online and he's going to find that price bastardized. Yep. This is without even talking about the quality, which I haven't got to, but you know that, right? That is so. You know, we have this conversation with retailers. Like, look, you need to invest in brands and put brands on the shelf that respect your business, that protect your business. Right. And right now, the big ones don't do that. They don't do that. And a lot of large brick and mortars are seeing that as well. And smart brick and mortars are saying, hey, look, the cigar industry for the last 20 or 30 years is different from the cigar industry today, as we talked about earlier. Right. The consumers that come in are different. They're more educated in some sense. Mm-hmm. They're not the guy that says, you know what, I've been smoking brand X for 30 years. What can you do for me on brand X? Now it's a price game. Yeah. And at the end of the day too, you got more astute consumers coming in that want a quality product, that want to know a great background of it, and they don't mind the price difference. They don't mind that it's a $1 difference. No, it's true. It's true. They want to pay for quality, and that is a very large segment of the cigar community today. Right, and I won't drop any names, but there's certain brands that you had mentioned that we carried, and when we opened, we don't carry them anymore. And there's also certain brands that you mentioned that I'll put out feelers to, or emails or calls, no response. And so it's really comes down to that relationship, because too,
I don't know if you're familiar with the blender or Indiana Ortez, who blended Ep.7, and it's stuff like that where it's like, okay, I start to notice this person's blending ability and what they can bring to the table. And then when there's a personal connection on it, and it's like, hey, we can actually do something together, it's a whole nother level. It's no longer just moving product off the shelf.
Sure. It is different. And, you know, if you're a tobacconist, I mean, really people are coming to you because of your expertise and knowledge into steering them into great product. And it's not, look, the old 30 years of running the cigar store was, hey, I'm coming in, I buy Macanudo Portofinos. Where's your Macanudo Portofinos? It's over there. Okay, great. Hey, this is a little more expensive than I'm used to. You know, I mean, that's the older consumer. God bless him. That's my dad. Okay, but the new consumer is different. The new consumer, times are changing. People want more. People want to know what's in their cigars. I mean, they want to know. They don't mind paying for quality. They don't mind. They are interested in earnest into spending their money into brands that they like and that they appreciate, and they don't mind that extra buck or two. Mm-hmm. People don't get that in the prior generations, because the prior generation of cigar smoking is different. It's about, it's about a lot of things that are 100% different than what we're talking about. It's like, hey, look, I smoke this cigar. That's all I ever smoke. And what kind of deal can you give me? Well, we're not that cigar company,
right?
We're just not. We don't make 4 million of this cigar a year, and then you can find it over at the liquor store cabinet. We don't do that. I mean, not to say there's anything wrong with it. That's a different business model, but we try to make cigars that are best of the world. We put everything we have into it, everything, and we try to put our best foot forward, and we try to find people that are open to appreciating that kind of quality and that kind of smoke.
Right. Awesome. Well, and for those watching, we have the Dapper cigar. We named it the High Society Sampler. It is an awesome sampler. It has all the blends that we had talked about. Go ahead and click on the link in this video. It will send you to our website. That's where you'll pick it up. I highly recommend it. Their flavor is amazing. It's not one to be missed. And Ian, thank you so much for spending time with us on our channel, and taking the time to educate us on your blends and the evolution of Dapper Cigar Company.
Hey, Eric, I appreciate you. Thank you for everything. I appreciate you taking the time to have us on here, and because it is a very mutual thing, and every opportunity that we have to talk directly to consumers, to people that buy our products, you guys are the ones that basically allow us to keep doing what we love doing. And so I appreciate that as much as anyone. And you guys are in California, Southern California. I look forward very much to coming down there and smoking cigars with you guys and talking all things tobacco and all things cigars, and maybe some other things that are of interest. But I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
We'll have to make something happen, and hopefully we'll see you at TPE as well. So thanks again, Ian, for joining us.
Thank you. See you guys.